And now, live, recorded in the Man Cave Studio B, deep in the heart of constitutional Livingston County, Michigan. This is a Sunday night conversation with Michigan State Senator Jim Runestad, your ever-present earwig, the real Tim Allen behind the scenes, yours truly, Larry Parsons. This is my brain, and now your host, the man that puts it all together, Mr. Jeremy Scott Gibbs.
I was waiting for the applause. The button must not be working, and we don't allow people in the studio, so no clapping. I know things, and I put things together. I fix things and I know things, something like that. I don't know the phrase anymore. Somebody got me the t-shirt. If anyone wants a copy of that song, let me know. That is from my previous band. That is me on bass. Let me know. Anyways, there we go. We are live. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure to have you.
Glad to be on the show.
Pleasure to see you again. You were here, I want to say like a year and a half ago.
Yes.
We had a telethon for the duly appointed electors who were then falsely accused of being illegitimate.
Yes.
We don't have to get into that dynamic, but I follow you. I've followed you quite a bit since that time of meeting you when you were here in the studio during that telethon, and I love the work that you do, and I want to dive into deep about some of the things you want to talk about. And of course, you're gonna. I think there's a rumor going around. You're running for something.
I am running for something.
So we're gonna dive into that. Let's do this right off the top of the show. It's a really big show tonight. It's a really big show. Tim, would you please, if you will, read for us the notice over there, my friend?
Get the banner
there we go. Oh, I got the wrong. It switched automatically to the disclaimers. That's my bad.
Give me the right graphic. Go to it.
All right.
This is my brain notice. This podcast is mostly raw and unfiltered and completely politically incorrect, because that's the way we like it. We say Merry Christmas when that was a whole thing, because you couldn't put Christ in
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Right?
That's coming up. Tis the holidays is when
Tis the season.
Jesus is the reason for the season.
And we say the Pledge of Allegiance, especially our favorite part they added, the One Nation Under God, back in the late 50s.
Yep.
We thank our troops for their service. Thank you all. Jim, did you serve?
I did not. No,
Okay,
I was in ROTC, and I
Nice.
didn't sign my contract.
That's
No,
a
we
whole
just
other
like to acknowledge it whenever we can.
Yeah.
I'm.
Thank you all those out there that served and
Thanks,
keep our
Larry.
freedoms free.
You're welcome.
Which they're
Thank
not.
you.
You pay for those, so we can have them. We only recognize 2 genders,
Dangle, no dangle.
both of those. As
Yep.
adults, we enjoy adult beverages on most shows.
Today,
I don't
just
know
me
if
having a
this is
slit little sip.
little
It is.
sippy sip.
It's okay.
So no clinky clink. Yeah, we usually do have a little sound effect or a squeaky pop whenever we have our buddy
Super Norris on there.
Super Norris on his. Yeah, as we cuss, we do not curse or swear. Those are 3 different things, and we have some
Look it up.
church moms that don't like that. We love Jesus, our Lord and Savior, but we hate religion, and except for the true one, taking care of widows and orphans
In their distress. Yes.
in
Exactly.
their distress. And religious hypocrites kind of rub us the wrong way. I'm chafed.
Little bit.
Last one I met, it was not good.
I love us talking to
Yes.
Senator to Jim. I was talking to you when we had a little technical difficulty, and it was
Yeah.
awesome. You said, "Yeah, you lied to me once," and I'm like, "That's my philosophy.
Exactly.
Just don't do it. One and done."
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I mean,
if
there's
any of this offend you can leave. That's the end of that.
That's the end of that.
Mhm.
And I don't think we need any disclaimers you would like to.
The opinions of this senator is not a blah blah blah.
Any?
It's his own.
Are we back on?
Make sure
Okay.
Jim's back on.
Opinions
Yeah.
on my own.
Opinions are your own. All right.
It would be great if we unmute him though.
Was that my
I
tab?
just unmuted him. Test that pack first, please, Jim.
Give me some.
1,
Yeah,
2,
there he
3.
is.
Working.
Do I need to refresh
He
my?
was
No,
on 3,
you're-
not 2.
I just saw you move the slider.
Yeah, that's not his. Yeah, that's not his. He's on 3.
He's on 3.
That's Larry's. See, I know which one Larry is. 'cause I
Oh,
keep
that's
unmuted.
right.
Yeah.
Because pack one is
Lapels
usually here
down.
with either
Yeah.
Norris or Patrick.
Correct.
You are correct, sir.
All right.
That was my bad.
So
So
make
it's
sure.
working out.
Programming note. Very
Yeah.
good. Let's get into this.
Yes.
We know we have a limited amount of time with you. What's the state of Michigan politics right now, Jim? What's going on?
Other
Well,
than bat bleep crazy.
Yeah.
It's very unique time that since I've been involved with politics for over 40 years and not seen anything like this, that we have had a great election victory, and a lot of it due to new demographics coming into the party on the Republican side.
Okay.
And normally what you have is, the Democrats have all the ethnic groups and all these special interest groups, and the Republicans basically are the party of the white population primarily, and that is being changed radically by Donald Trump.
Huge.
And it's so exciting. And so that's going to be, I think, an ongoing change, and that's one of the things I want to really work on. I have worked with communities for 6 years, all over the state of Michigan, more than I would say any legislator in Michigan's history,
Mhm.
to try to earn their support.
Yeah.
And I'm the co-chair of the Taiwanese Caucus, Friendship Caucus. I was named the Friend of India in front of all the Indians in the state of Michigan, all the leaders,
Okay.
about 400 to 500.
That is a very good thing to get.
Gave me the
I mean,
award
that
of
is,
Friend of
that's
India.
wonderful.
That's
Oh,
dot,
good.
not feather.
And
Yeah.
many other outreaches. And I think that's what we've got to continue doing.
Mhm.
We've let these communities believe that the Republican Party doesn't care about them. So
Mm.
that's going to be a big change.
Well, it's one of the talking points of the Democrats is vilify and denigrate and accuse your opponent of what you do.
That's exactly right. Yeah, projecting onto Republicans
so-
what they do.
Along that line, I've watched multiple videos. We played them on the show here. We're seeing specifically, I love the one in Chicago, or multiple ones in Chicago, where people are standing up during city council meetings and telling off the council members. And I mean, very articulate, black, mostly women, but there's some guys, there's some videos of guys, very articulate, just listing out who the council members are and why they're tired of them and why they're voting for Trump. I haven't seen a lot of videos come out of Michigan like that. So you're talking about the grassroots and people coming over, but have we seen any type of groundswell like that where,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I went to the school board meeting in Dearborn, and that was probably about a little over a year ago.
Okay.
And there was going to be this big controversy because they have these child pornography books in schools.
I remember this one. Yeah.
And so I was there with 2 or 3 other Republicans, no Democrats there. And we're sitting put right in the front with the cameras going.
Yeah.
And the entire auditorium held about 500 people. There was another about 600 or 700 out in the waiting with big
Big
TVs
screens,
to
yeah.
be able to watch it. And it was so funny. The school board, they're so used to operating the same way. Like it's usually a handful of white women that show up at these. I've been at these before, and they call them racist and haters and stuff like that. And these women get very concerned and they kind of quiet down.
Right.
And they tried that with the mostly Muslim community. It was probably I would say 95% the Muslim community in Dearborn, and they literally tried calling them white supremacists. And the whole group is guffawing and laughing. We're the white supremacists. Who could have known? And that didn't work. So they said, "Well, you hate the LGBT community." The next person gets up and says, "Well, if we hate the LGBT community, then why with every single school has an LGBT club, and no one here is complaining about that?" No, what we don't want is your child porn in the schools. You guys are going to be gone. You're going to go.
Yeah.
And then the next person, and then they say, "Well, you hate the teachers." The next person comes up and said, "I must have seen a half a dozen of our great teachers. Let's give them a standing ovation." No, we don't hate the teachers. We
Right.
hate your child porn. It was over and
Oh, that's
over.
awesome.
They were. It was like it was a relentless and speaker after speaker.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of teachers that weren't even from the district that came in.
Mhm.
That were supporting the child porn in the schools.
Of course,
Yeah.
we get that here. Primarily, Heartland's one of the ones we cover, but we also cover Brighton and Howell and a little bit of Pinckney every once in a while when stories pop up. But yeah, you're like the people that are supporting this garbage aren't even from your community.
Oh yeah,
By and large.
it seemed to me every one of a handful of speakers that got up there
Yeah.
were not even from the community. They were just there to buttress the the school board. I'd love to know how many of that school board got broomed out. I don't know,
Oh.
but I mean, this every single parent would say, "You guys are going to go."
Yeah.
And when I was walked out, they mobbed us Republicans. Said, "We're not Republicans. You're the only ones that care about our kids. You're the only one." All the way out, I could barely get through the people just
Right.
wanting to put hands on you, almost that you care.
Yeah.
And they were yelling at the Democrat office holders that they don't care. They would happily do this to all their kids. So yeah, there's real opportunity for outreach in these communities. I was contacted about 2 years ago by a Yemenis family, and they had a family member who was killed working in a party store,
Mhm.
and they felt that their trial was an egregious failure, and the guy was convicted, and then it was overturned because he didn't look exactly the same height or some weight of it looked ridiculous. So I said, yeah, this needs a second look. I had attorneys write up a
What?
whole letter. Yeah, it was ridiculous. So I meet with the imam, all these leaders in the Yemenis community, the whole family, this big meeting. I'm saying, all the documentation you're showing me, I think you're absolutely right. I'm going to ask that the attorney general and the prosecutor in Wayne County and everybody look at this.
Yeah.
I said, but I don't represent you. I'm in Oakland County. This
Right.
is all in Wayne. This was mostly in Dearborn and Hamtramck. And I said, I've got to get the senators and reps signed on because they represent you. Well, I approached them all. They all said, no, we're not doing
Wow.
anything with that. And they told me just recently.
Wow.
I was speaking down in Monroe County, and they had a big contingent of people from the Yemenis community. And they said it was actually not putting in the Victory Center. It was what you did 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they told me that this is what you did 2 years ago. They said
You were the catalyst.
no Republican has ever talked to us,
Wow.
and the Democrats wouldn't do what you, not even representing us, were willing to do. So yeah, that's the kind of
That's
stuff.
huge.
It's huge. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, if you reach out to these communities and you share the values, I have a pamphlet. I'll give you the pamphlet.
Okay.
It talks about all the shared values between the Indian community and Republicans.
Yeah.
When
Oh,
it's
yeah.
almost every single issue.
Exactly.
So 6 years ago, when I got elected, I
Mhm.
had a big Indian community. So I looked online at the state party, and
Okay.
they had a section for the Indian community liaisons. So there's 3 names, 3 numbers. I called all 3. 2 were disconnected, and the other guy said, I haven't lived in Michigan for 10 years. So what is it, 20 years since
Wow.
that was never updated? So I put together this whole pamphlet of all the shared values. I've given thousands of them out to the Indian community.
Okay.
That's what we need to do. If you show up on right before the election, they distrust you, as they should.
Right.
You've got to be involved all the way through.
Is this the correct map? Let me put it over here. Is that the correct map today?
For district separation.
Yeah. Is that the correct Michigan Senate map?
I've looked at it.
Your best-
That looks correct.
Close.
Okay. So you're right down here in the corner in the 15th.
No, it's got to be an older. I'm in the 23rd. So
Oh, you're in the 23rd.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Oh, you know what though? Or it's the brand new one. They've now changed.
That's right.
There was about 5 districts, Senate districts, that they changed as special election. Those maps were just approved maybe a few months ago.
Okay.
So
That's what
I
was trying
that
to
could be
find
the
out.
brand new
That
one.
one's showing the 22nd district down in Washington.
Yeah, Livingston and Washington.
This may be the new map, the brand new one that I didn't run in.
Okay.
That I can't. I'm term limited, so I can't run again.
Okay.
But
All right, because your X still says
oh well, I got to get that.
That's the only
Yeah.
thing I don't like.
One when you
That
get good
that
people.
means you lose good people every. Now, you have an opportunity.
Some rotation.
In the 15th.
No, it's got to be an older. I'm in the 23rd. So.
Oh, you're in the 23rd.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That is an old one.
Oh, you know what though? Or it's the brand new one. They've now changed.
That's right.
There was about 5 districts, Senate districts, that they changed as special election. Those maps were just approved maybe a few months ago.
Okay.
So
That's what
that could
I was trying
that
to
could be
find
the
out.
brand new one.
That one's showing the 22nd district down that in Washington.
Yeah, Livingston and Washington.
This may be the new map, the brand new one that I didn't run in.
Okay.
That I can't. I'm term limited, so I can't run again.
Okay. Okay.
But that.
That's
All right, because you're. Yeah, because your X still says 15th.
Oh well, I got to get that.
That's the only thing I don't like.
if I have it real quick. I love the Mike Tyson though. Did everybody see the Mike Tyson
No.
Cartoon or
Oh
meme?
no. I'll show it to you right here.
There's been some great great cartoons coming out.
Let me open a new tab. This one.
Wall feed.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
We both lost. Yes. Yes, but I banked 20 million and you owe 20 million. She collected over $1 billion.
It was $1.2 billion, I think it was, and then she's 20 million in debt.
That's ridiculous.
And now all the donors. Smartly, I want to know where the money went.
Well, and that's why I was going to bring up the chart. I'm not finding it right because I
from
wasn't
what
planning on it. But
from what I understand,
this kind of segues into one of the things we had talked about. I have announced I'm running for the state party chair.
Oh,
And one of the reasons that I think we've got to have a big changeover is you have consultants that have been looting the party for decades. And just so your viewers know, a consultant is not a donor. I've had people say, well, don't we need the consultants' donations? No, the consultant is not the donor. The consultant is the recipient of the donor's money.
right.
And so you have the chair of the party who sits between these two. So the money comes in.
Mhm.
And what has traditionally happened is the consultant works very hard to get their person in order to be able to have all the money routed into their companies. And sometimes they'll have like 5, 6, 7 LLCs. They don't say tell anyone that they own them all, but they say, hey, these are great
Right.
vendors. They do great work,
It's
and
a
I'll
shell
put your
game.
stuff. And so they shove the money over there, massively overcharging. And if you know anything about print and mail, which is the bulk of this stuff, there's companies, 100 companies are going to probably be in 10 to 15% of each other.
Okay.
And the consultant charges 50% more than everybody else, rolls the money into their pocket. So that's one of the things that you got to make sure every dollar is going to the message of helping Republican win. And it doesn't help when you have people draining the money into their pockets. So that's one of the things I would do immediately is we're going to have complete transparency. We're going to have competitive bidding. It's not going to have one guy because he got the guy in office routes all the money into his pocket.
Correct. Did you have something quick, Larry? Or am I not on the
campaign finance reform? Is basically what that is.
It's
a little different.
No, it's completely different because when you run for the party chair, there's no campaign finance reports at all.
Mhm.
And when it comes into the accounts, into the state accounts, there's some federal reporting, but there's no prohibition of the chair routing all of it to their friend. That's been the problem.
That's bad.
So, and by the time these reports are out, usually the person's long gone that was the chair.
Right.
There's all this new incoming person. There's
Mhm.
also a lot of people uncomfortable talking about anything that's wrong with the party. I think that that's a mistake. I think we've got to say that, listen, if there's a problem, let's address the problem. Not just keep cycle after cycle knocking it under the rug.
100%. So what would you say is the, do you know off the top of your head, what's a good breakdown of where money's spent? You said print media is huge, but also, so I mean, the difference between a grassroots, and we've talked about some campaigns, Larry was involved in some campaigns, but the difference between a grassroots and then people who are just throwing huge amounts of money, which we saw with the presidential race. I think I was trying to find the graph still, but I think it was Kamala was just over $1 billion and Trump was about 600 and 640, somewhere around there. And it showed the amount of their staff members got like half of her money, and Trump's was about a third of his staff members, somewhere along the line. I'm going off the top of my head, so don't fully quote me. But what are some of the differences of where they're spending money versus a grassroots and a big money campaign, and how do those break down? Print media, television. I mean, we were getting inundated on social media and on couldn't watch a football game without having to mute almost every commercial because it was so ridiculous, and the lies on the Democrat side was so over the top. So what would you say is a breakdown, being a grassroots guy, and then a breakdown versus the big money people of where the money goes?
It's night and day. So for me, I was actually one of the top fundraisers so many ways that we can figure everything. You were asking about how it's done in the money in state party. They had $29 million flow through in about 3 months. $29 million. Typically, you're allowed to take, say, even 10% administrative charge because you have to run your whole operation.
Okay.
Now, most people are not aware, in all 50 states, Democrat and Republican parties can get a 30% discount. There's some loophole in the tax. If you run the money through the state parties, there's a 30% discount on mailings. It's not on TV and radio, but it's
Right.
on mailings.
Mhm.
So they want the money to come through. The Democrats do the same thing. The money goes to the state party. But how do we have a $360,000 deficit if you could take at least every one of these campaigns that send the money? No, they have to have operation running, or if it went bankrupt, there is no operation.
Right.
So you got to operate it. And if you took 2% of that, you could run the entire operation all the way through with no deficit.
Right.
How do we end up with a giant deficit? The report hasn't come out yet, but who was getting paid? Who got paid what?
Yeah, that's the key.
Oh, this could be very interesting because
Yeah.
that is all in the report. So it'll be very interesting to
You know
see.
the name of that? What's the name of the report?
It's a federal filing.
Okay.
But it out before the first of the
So
year.
is that the impetus of somebody else in there, or is this a private group that's doing an audit or
They have to, because there's a federal filing. So every
it's
state
automatic. It
they
automatically
have to do
triggers.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
they have to do
Okay.
it before
All right.
year's end.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out
Um,
the origin on that.
Yeah, so for me, it's going to be total transparency. If you look at my whole career in politics, who sponsored, co-sponsored, or voted for every single transparency bill all the way through, even when Republicans were in charge. I was with these Democrats who were all like, rah, rah, we got to have transparency when the Republicans are in charge. The day that these same people, when Whitmer took over, they killed all the bills.
Of course.
Jeremy said, my number one goal is to get the FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, done. He said this, the number one goal. It's now 2 years old. It's sitting in his committee. Then he put through this at the very end, put through this watered down piece of garbage that isn't going to do anything. I said the same bill that I fought for, that he was agreeing that was the good, strong one.
Yeah.
He didn't run that bill. He ran some watered down nothing bill. So for me, it's been transparency all the way through. Never changed. Republican, Democrat, transparency would be the same thing here. Transparency.
And then that comes back to where all the money going, campaign money, all that stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So print media, social media, how big is that becoming? The social media, it's obviously it's a cheaper or
Digital
less expensive.
media.
The digital media is less expensive than print or traditional television. How big is that? I mean, I get pop-ups for just this show saying, pay, we could boost you for, boost your views if you pay this much,
It's going to take over practically everything, because the print media cannot seem to adjust for the most part. There's some exceptions, but for the most part, they were saying 4 to 6% of reporters are Republicans. The vast majority of almost all reporters donate and vote for the Democrat Party. It's just big. All that believe the only reasonable thing is that the Democrat Party is right, because we all in this room, we're all in agreement. And that's the way they think. They don't think in terms of what is an objective view. And so continue to put this stuff out. In this last election, they said that the media did everything they could to get Harris elected, and it didn't work.
Right.
Believed them. They're a pack of liars.
They've killed
Their
they've
brand,
killed
yeah.
themselves.
Yeah,
Right.
nobody
killed them.
trusts them at all.
No.
So what is your alternative? You got to go to social media
Mhm.
or talk radio or programs like this
Yep.
in order to get the truth, because they're not going to give you an unvarnished, unfiltered look at what actually happened.
Right.
But you can get that if you look at enough different sources, the way I always do things, look at a whole panorama sources, you're going to distill down what the truth is.
Right.
But the media in the old days, it was only them. They had the in town.
Right.
So I think it's going to be a big transition over to social media is going to be way, way more important
Huge.
than the media, probably even more important eventually than the mailers. Mailers still are important, but
Yeah, papers. Quick
because you could
question.
target.
You were talking about what do you do for your news cycle? What do you do for your sources? PJW, Paul Joseph Watson, has a piece that he actually software that consolidates stuff. I looked at briefly. Was going to look at. You don't have time to filter through all that stuff. I mean, you have staff or whatever.
Yeah, because you do the
Yeah.
Rumstead report,
You do, yeah.
Uh,
So
so
how do you use something or
or you just comb through.
That brings me to another issue that I
Yeah.
was going to talk about, the way I would handle
well, which
the
softball
communication, because my favorite thing is reading.
Oh, yeah.
My free time is everyone knows I'm reading all the time, and so I learned to digest information very, very fast.
Okay.
So I'm looking at a lot of different sources
Mhm.
constantly. I have everybody that knows me says, "Hey, this is something that I know you have an interest in." They're sending me
So when
stuff.
they send you a link, you're going to read it.
Yeah,
9
so,
times out of 10. Yeah.
and I've got fast reader,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
just because there's so much material to digest. Unless you learn to skim through for the important stuff, you're not going to get it through.
Yeah.
So that is something that I want to take from what I have seen as a deficit in the state party. Where, to give you an example, we get in the feed from Gonmer and MERS what is all the communication coming from the Democrat and Republican parties. The Democrats are putting out probably per month 25 to 30 press releases. Mike Rogers is a monster, and it's horrible, and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
We put out about one a month from what I
Yeah.
could tell.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's just for me that would be
Total
all the
eclipse.
reverse. Oh,
Yeah.
I would eclipse them. Like, I'm putting out all this material,
Yeah.
and I'm in my last term. All I could do in the last 2 years, I couldn't get a single bill through, but I could attack them on floor speeches and put in amendments. All of that's going to come to an end on the 1st of January. The House takes over, and I've already heard they're going to be colluding on every single thing. No more ramming through all the Democrat bills because they've been dead on arrival
Right.
in the House. So now I'm going to have a ton of time to take what I am learning and now sharing with constituents. Would share with the entire.
Mhm.
Talk to groups. On Michigan say you're going to, because it'd be about 10. Worth of per week. All the rest. I'm going to make sure that everybody in the state of Michigan knows what is happening in Lansing. What is Whitmer
That's
doing?
huge.
What has been doing? No. Or either at home or that off. I am in the belly of the beast a week, and I
Right.
just churning stuff out,
That's
getting
phenomenal.
out, talking to people. I love talking. talking to groups. I will. Out like no other chair has ever been. And I'll listen to what are we doing right?
That's
What are we
good.
doing wrong? I want to know. Say some yes man's going to tell people think yes man. Keeper to kill the information. I want to know what I want to get out there to them. So excited about all of these changes. It would be it has never been done before.
I like it. I like it. And
Yeah.
go ahead, Larry.
I was just gonna say I'm glad we're going. here because everybody I talk likes you. Everybody. I haven't talked to anybody that doesn't like Senator Runestad, and I don't talk to anybody delegates that don't know that you're the most conservative in the Michigan legislature. But the number one issue I hear, well, how can he do both at the same time? And that,
But you just said it, and you say it's about 10 hours.
yeah,
It's about 10 hours.
that's exactly what that's
And
I'm
it's
glad we're going here.
yeah, it's a about one a month from what I
Yeah.
could tell.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's just for me that would be
Total
all the
eclipse.
reverse. Oh,
Yeah.
I would eclipse them. Like I'm putting out all this material,
Yeah.
and I'm in my last term. All I could do in the last 2 years, I couldn't get a single bill through, but I could attack them on floor speeches and put in amendments. All of that's going to come to an end on the 1st of January. The House takes over, and I've already heard they're going to be colluding on every single thing. No more ramming through all the Democrat bills because they'd be dead on arrival
Right.
in the House. So now I'm going to have a ton of time to take what I am learning and what I'm sharing with my constituents, I would share with the entire state.
Mhm.
And when I talk to groups around the state of Michigan, say, you're going to, because literally it'd be about 10 hours worth of voting per week. All the rest of the time, I'm going to make sure that everybody in the state of Michigan knows what is happening in Lansing. What is Whitmer
That's
doing?
huge.
What is Benson doing? And no chair, the chairs are either at home or they're at that office. I am in the belly of the beast every week, and I will be
Right.
just churning stuff out,
That's
getting
phenomenal.
out, talking to people. I love talking to groups. I will be out like no other chair has ever been.
Mhm.
And I'll listen to her. What are we doing
Well,
right?
that's
What are we
good.
doing wrong? I want to know. I'm not going to say some yes man's going to tell me what people are thinking. The yes man is the gatekeeper to kill all the information. I want to know what people are thinking. I want to get out there and talk to them. So
Right.
I'm excited about all of these changes. It would be like it has never been done before.
Nice.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
And go ahead, Larry.
I was just gonna say I'm glad we're going here because everybody I talk to likes you. Everybody. I haven't talked to anybody that doesn't like Senator Runestad, and I don't talk to anybody specifically delegates that don't know that you're the most conservative member in the Michigan legislature. But the number one issue I hear is, well, how can you do both at the same time?
But you just said it, didn't you say it's about 10 hours?
Well,
It's about 10 hours.
that's exactly what
and
I'm
it's-
glad we're going here.
Yeah, it's a great
because it's a
point.
big issue.
It is. It's the thing I get asked about the most because people don't understand the parameters of the job. You get there as a senator 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if we have session. Now we have the whole summers off, we have Christmas off, we have hunting season off, we have spring break. I mean, there's a lot of time off. But when you're there,
I think I'm going to run.
there's a ton of time off.
Sounds like I need a vacation.
And then we're there from 10 to about 11:30 is typically the voting. That's about 7-8 hours a week.
Okay.
If we have session. After that, I'm busting out of that place and I am going to be just running around the state and going. Anyone who knows me knows I work 89, 90, 100 hours a week.
Right.
All 10 years, that is what I've been doing.
Right.
Now, I've been doing less the last 2 years because I got the second most number of bills signed in office when our last term with the Republicans. But now I get nothing. I'll get absolutely nothing. So I'm fighting the Democrats. That's all gone the first of the year.
Nice.
I'll have a ton of time and I will get what I learned in the belly of the beast for all the people out there,
Right.
all the delegates. Everyone's going to learn what's going on.
How much more time do you have? You got 4 more years?
No, 2.
2 more
Yeah,
years.
I'm termed out in 2 years.
In 2 years. Okay. Because it's a 6-year term.
4 year.
Oh, it's 4 year. That's why I was adding 2 years. Okay. I didn't know that, the state Senate. Okay, so we're covering quite a bit. I love that you're looking at the chair and being able to, because that's the number one thing about that I'm seeing. On one hand, I'm seeing a lot of people doing their own research, and that's part of Tim's questions, asking where do you get your news and how do you consolidate it and get your news feeds. I have a couple different places that I go to on a daily basis, but it does
because we're trying to do our own production.
Yeah, and
so much of it though is like the videos I shoot on the bills.
Yeah.
The bill is, we get early notice of the bill.
Yeah.
Well, they give us the last second. And literally they get one day or sometimes hours before.
Well, you have
But my staff and I
to sign it and then you can read it. Where's my whiskey? Anybody know who that is?
Nancy Pelosi.
Oh, Larry got it.
Nancy Pelosi. All the way.
So I have great staff who know exactly how I've
Okay.
trained them. They know exactly. When I sit down with Kevin, he goes, "You're gonna like this one. You're gonna like that. You're gonna have opposition to that one." I go through. He knows
He
99%.
consolidates it for you.
Yeah. So
So basically, what you're saying is we all need a personal assistant.
With Kevin,
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 who at least
Kevin.
all of
Kevin.
the stuff that is bill related is all prepared for me. But then I will say, okay, this one, I need to know how to message this. So there's some complexity here that the average person pulling up a bill, it says there's so much legalese, blah, 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 that they're going to go, God, I can't stand reading this thing.
Right.
So we go through and we find out what is the pertinent points in there. And that's what I'm messaging out.
Okay.
And that doesn't take very long because Kevin has it all digested. And so far, we've, to my knowledge, never got anything wrong in anything I've taped. If there is, no one's ever brought it to my attention.
But
so we make sure we have it correct. I told
Yeah.
Kevin we can never get anything wrong. If I might put something out and it's wrong, the media will eat me alive. We got to make sure we have everything correct.
Well, and we've seen it with senators and representatives where they get out there and their staff is giving them the wrong information and they start pontificating on a podium in opposition to it or in favor of something, and the reporter raises their hand and go, "That's not what's actually in this." And they go,
I know.
and they looking back at a staff member and going, "You know what? You're fired, dude."
Yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin and I go through, and like I said, he identifies all the stuff that I might have an interest in.
Yeah.
We'll go through and he'll highlight the stuff. And then sometimes it's like a complexity that I would know how to make it the average person understand. It's accurate, but it's simplified so they understand.
Yes.
This paragraph is full of gobbledygook.
Yeah.
I get it down to maybe a couple of sentences that the public can understand.
And they're doing that on purpose. They're making it,
Oh, yeah.
That was one of the dangers. I can't remember which founding father said it, but that when bills become too wordy or
Oh,
become,
right.
and it echoes Proverbs. Proverbs says when words are many, sin is not absent.
Mhm.
You're going to have error. You're going to have failure in
I
there.
love that. I love that proverb.
Yeah.
To me, I'm so excited about having the opportunity, getting this, aggregating stuff, not just for my district, but telling everybody in the state of Michigan what is going on.
Yeah.
And my goal, just so there's a couple other things I want to touch on.
No, go ahead, Jim.
One is unifying the party.
Okay.
As Larry was saying, I'm not aware of a single group anywhere in the Republican Party that says I have badmouthed them, I have attacked them, because I know so often what these little fractional tribal battles are personality driven.
Yes.
And they're at each other's throat, and then something happens a year later, they're best friends. So
Right.
and
they probably are 80 to 95% agreement on almost all the
Yeah,
issues,
yeah,
but a personality driven.
some little thing that cropped up, and
Yep.
now and now the leaders got the two factions at each other's throats, and then sometimes a year or two later they find out that they're going to be against the third. So these unite, and I got asked twice, would you literally at one group they said this group doesn't like this group because this group did this and that, and are you going to do anything about it? I said no, I'm not going to be. If I sat down with every group in
Right.
every county and and try to negotiate through, that's all I would do. I would never get anything done. I'm not going to engage in that. I'm going to say
It's a waste of your time.
it's a waste of time.
It's a waste of time, and you're going to alienate one group or the other if
Exactly.
you pick a side.
And there's a
I
big
have
giant
friends-
group we need to go after.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
The Democrats.
yeah, and we just went through. We were going through it in Livingston County. We went through it as a state over the previous chair. Not going to mention any names.
Mhm.
And the battles that we saw and watched, and then the takeovers, and then the arguments, and then the fightings. Well, that's the past.
Yeah.
That's not the future.
No,
Mhm.
and it cannot be the future.
And somebody that I agree with 80% of the time is not 20% my enemy.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
it really is. It's got to be. And the message I'm going to take to the donors, I'm going to take to the grassroots, I'm going to take to everybody is this squabble
Mhm.
or something that, some donor doesn't like about me? I don't even know what it would be, but maybe they didn't like my suit I wore. I don't know.
Well, that happens.
But the thing is, do you care about this stuff, or do you look in your grandkids or your kids' eyes
Right.
and say, I'm going to let your future go to hell and turn this state into a crap hole because I don't like this guy or her or whatever it is?
Right.
Or can you get on mission centered and say,
Right.
I have an obligation before I leave this world to put every ounce of time and energy and work to make sure that these people stop destroying the lives of the kids.
Correct.
That your kids are shown this pornography in school. The boys can come into your girl's shower.
No.
That your girl's gets a concussion because she's playing with the boy.
Right.
Is that important to you, or is this squabble important to you?
Yeah.
Because to me, don't bring the squabbles to me. I am going to be 100% mission centered on the Democrat. I'm not going to attack Republicans either.
Well, it's even what Jesus said. The one guy approached him and he said, Jesus looks right back at him and says, I can't remember what gospel it's exact. I think I want to say it's John, but he says, who made me an arbiter between you and your brother? He's come say, he goes, Lord, my father's dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, tell my brother to divide the spoils with me. He goes, who made me an arbiter between you and him? Go home and take care of it yourself.
Yeah, he said to tell him. You talk to him.
You talk to him.
Don't talk to me. You talk to him.
Exactly. And we don't have enough of that in our discourses, where I have a problem with that. I see people, and I try not to engage in anything on Facebook or some of these other stuff where they're attacking people publicly. And I'm like, have you sat down with them? Because scripture says, go to your brother one-on-one if you got a problem.
Yes.
And then take somebody with you, not to defend you, but to be basically a mediator.
Yes.
Is the way it really reads. And then if you have a problem, take them before the congregation. Well, what is the congregation in that dynamic? Are you both beholden to a specific group in such that you would consider it a congregation? Because taking it to social media and putting somebody on blast because you disagree with something they said, when you may not understand the full context
Exactly.
or their heart or where they're at, what they're dealing with at that moment. And it's so quick, Jesus, one of the things he talked about was how quickly people are offended. And then when they said, Lord, don't you know that when you said this, the Pharisees were offended? He goes, that was necessary because they need to basically be confronted with their religious attitudes and how they're treating people. He said, so if they were offended, that was necessary.
I say it meant to come, or perhaps Perhaps I like to imagine it's from
Yeah.
Fiddler. Perhaps offense was yet to come. You know,
Perhaps
they
it was
would
meant
need
to
some
come.
offense.
Maybe
Perhaps
it was meant to happen that way.
I think Jesus
I don't
had
know.
that kind of accent.
But I like the way that Jim is thinking and what he
100%.
wants to do with the party.
Yeah.
Because what we need to focus on is not trying to find somebody that I can disagree with 20% of the time, but to find common ground and defeat Democrats.
It's
Right.
discarding.
Yeah, they're going to have. This is one of the biggest questions I get too. Is how you going to unite the party, and like you said, to my knowledge, because I haven't attacked any former chair,
Yeah.
I haven't attacked any donor, I haven't attacked any group within the Republican Party.
Right.
I think that
'Cause we need
that's
everybody.
destructive. Yeah, it's
We
destructive.
need everybody.
And as the chair, nobody's going to get me to start attacking Republicans as the chair. That's my job, is to not do that.
Sure.
Right.
My job is to bring everyone together and make sure they know the mission is getting these Democrats out of office that are
Yeah.
taking this country and the state
Right.
down into a hellhole. That has got to be the mission. And you see this constant schisming among people. And I'm just going to tell them, if you want to do that, you do that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to get involved. I'm
Right.
going to make sure, I'm going to try to get you looking at what the mission is, the mission.
Right.
So, so information, getting the information out, and I love this, Jim. I love getting, having just blasting out information, letting people know what's going on. Because when I became a delegate here locally, there was no training. There was nothing set up for
you
us
got dropped in
I just dropped in, and I'm
deep
like,
into the pool.
my first meeting, I'm walking in the room, not to the convention center, no clue. You know, I did my studies of what, a delegate was before I ran, of course, but then you walk in there and you're like, what's my job? You know what I'm saying?
What was my first question to you about what? Oh, so, okay, well, what's their internal communication system they use? There was none.
There was none. And then, but looking at the chair, just looking at our local politics, and I was talking to somebody the other day, I said, well, what really is the requirement of the county chair? And they said to delegate. And I said, okay, so to communicate and delegate, is that something similar where you're looking at Michigan? How much delegation is there? Because that's huge you're not dealing with necessarily figuring out personalities and how to balance out these arguments and that argument. You're saying you have these skills and I can see that you're strong in this and not strong in some other areas. So I want to delegate to you this. Do you accept that role? And then have them go full tilt on that, give them ownership, give them, the best CEOs are the ones that look like they don't do anything, but the company's running phenomenal.
You're absolutely correct. What you have to do, and what I would focus on, and I remember Saul Anusis, he was the chair many, many years ago, and he came out and he did a listening tour, and it was after we got shellacked in the election. And I thought it was the most brilliant thing I'd seen done, because he knew he got shellacked. He knew he didn't fulfill everything that he wanted to fulfill. And he sat up there and people came up to the mic. And sometimes they said, well, we need to do this. Sometimes you dirty SOB, you collapsed everything. But he listened, and he didn't run away, and he didn't start screaming at people.
Right.
I would like to go on listening. And I do all of my coffee hours and all of my district hours are done the same way. It's the Wild West. And when I was in the House, I did more of those than anyone else. So a lot of times legislators majority of the time, they say, well, get everyone in a room, and then I'll be in the side room and bring them to me, like one or three or at a time. And there are a lot of times it's so they can give them a different answer. So somebody asks the same question, but I think you want to hear this different than you.
Yeah.
And so they can do that. No one knows. Or they take the cards and they say, Senator, why did you vote for the tax increase? Oh, get rid of that one. Senator, why are you the greatest senator in the world? Oh, let's give this one to. So mine.
Senator, I like that question.
I like that question. That one, not so much. So mine is the total Wild West. There's Democrats, Republicans, independents. There's some Republicans who may give me a hard time on something. There are Democrats certainly give me a hard time. A lot of times they got cameras right into my face, and I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to ask. I don't know what they're going to comment it. And I go all the way around, and I say, how many of you have been at my community hours? And usually about half the people. You said, you know what it's like.
Yep.
It's the Wild West. I don't know what you're going to say.
But you're a genuine person, Jim, in the limited time that I've gotten to know you. But of course, the testimonies that I hear, and everybody, as you said, nobody has a problem with you. They were like, yeah, we like Jim. We may not, he's conservative as the day is long, but we don't have anything we can say bad. You're always coming from a genuine place. And that is a rare and priceless commodity in today's political age, because you don't have to think about the answer. You just say the answer. It comes from the heart. Out of the overflow of your heart, your mouth is speaking, and you're just going, no, I've done my due diligence. I've studied on this. Or you may have to say, you know what, I'll need to look into that a little bit more. But you're always coming from a place of honesty. And I was thinking about it a little bit earlier in the show today, that the best revenge is what's that phrase, or the exact quote, because there's a couple different variations of it, but the best revenge is a successful life, or living a successful life, living it out. And I think about that is you don't have to engage in these squabbles and these disagreements when you go out and you live the example of what it means to be successful. And it doesn't mean straight up the money aspect. It just means being successful at whatever your task is. And when you're out there being successful at it and pushing forward, it speaks so much more to the people who actually look at it and pay attention. They go, wow, okay, this guy just, all right. What, when you have somebody, and I know you have, I haven't asked you this question off air, but I know you, I'm going to say pretty confidently you have. I've had in years past where people walk up and go, what's your secret? And I go, what? And they go, what is it about you that I'm either attracted to, or I like to be around you, or you're just successful? And a lot of times it was back in doing church ministry, to where I'm genuinely happy, and I'm trying to build people up, and, pray for this person and do these things and do this thing. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, what's the deal? And I'm like, I live it. Before I ever teach it, I live it. I walk it out, and I go, okay, Lord, this is how you do this. He goes, yeah. And he tweaks my thought process, and he does this, to man belong the plans of the heart, from the Lord comes the reply of the tongue. So I get my plan together, and he goes, I changed that part, change this part. But that dynamic of being genuine is priceless. And you sitting at the chair, we've got to have that fresh infusion of being the same person behind the scenes, talking with anybody, or a Wild Wild West show on a coffee Tuesday, or whenever the day is, and being up on the platform and organizing people. It's got to be one and the same package. I think that's the appeal of Trump. I think that's the appeal of J.D. Vance, of Vivek, and a lot of other people. And we're vetting out some of the other ones. But I mean, even RFK has been who he is.
They keep it real.
They keep it real.
And it's important. And people can spot a phony pretty darn fast, especially if you've been around for a while. Maybe you can get up to one of people one time and then leave town like the old snake oil salesman.
Right.
But if you're up there in front of them for a long period of time, they're going to start to read you.
Yep.
And like I said, when I'm in a closed room, if I'm here or I'm talking to you over there, it's the same guy. It's the same message.
100%.
If I'm with 10,000 people, or if I'm with a little group, it's the same message.
Right.
I've been taped over by the Democrats, I'm sure, hundreds of times. When I was in the most, another thing, I had a great experience. I won the closest Republican win in 2018. So someone said,
Okay.
oh, he had a conservative district, well, he can win, but he doesn't know what it's like to be a winner or to run in a close race. I was in the closest race, barely won in 2018, and outperformed every single Republican candidate in the district and every single precinct except 2 for Ryan Berman. All of the rest of them I outperformed. And that is learning a skill set of how to deal with everyday people, the people that are independent voters.
Right.
But they felt the same way. He's not a liar. And the people I would talk to go, Democrats at the coffee hours would post to say, you may not like what he says, but he's telling you what he believes. 100%. He's not lying to you. Democrats were saying that because he says the same thing every time.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter if you have a personal meeting, he says the same thing he says. So it's not lying to people. Like I told you, that lying business, that betraying, that stuff that I see in so much in politics.
What's the number one thing that Christ went after when he was on? The number one thing, if you look it up, is this. We say it in the disclaimer: is the hypocrites. Hypocrisy in the Greek is literally either it can be translated as being an actor or somebody who pretends to be something they're not. And that is the number one thing that Christ pointed out above all in there. And of course, he included the Pharisees, Sadducees in that. But that was the number one label he put on: you hypocrites, you brood of vipers. It was because you're pretending to be something you're not, and then you're enforcing rules on a bunch of people that don't even have a clue as to who they are, even to pretend to be something they think they should be.
Their identity.
And you won't lift a finger to take the burden off their back, but then you're going to criticize them for carrying a burden. It's ridiculous. And so that's what we're talking about, is you can't go along too long before you go, that guy's a hypocrite.
Oh yeah, it doesn't.
It smells.
In Lansing, I see it all over the place. people who are saying one thing, doing another, saying that they're against the moneyed interest, but actually behind the scenes they're taking it, and it's influencing how they're voting.
I mean, luckily we don't have a governor that would ever do anything like take a vacation while everybody's locked down.
No, she would do that.
Tell people not to go to a restaurant with over 6 people and go with 12. Thank goodness we don't have a governor.
Yeah, governor that would put a boat in the water.
Yeah, fly down to see her dad when she tells him not to fly and stay home. Thank goodness we don't have a governor.
I mean, that's a blessing.
So we had a question real quick before you wrap up. Make sure we got everything talking about. You guys are dancing around a terminology I think is more biblically resounding when you're talking about these problems that arise in the party against each other. It's divisions,
right?
And that word you guys mentioned it a couple of times, but you never said divisions. And the message I hear is that you're wanting to say, don't allow these divisions among us to take down our house, because a divided house does not stand.
Right.
Yes.
And if these divisions, is this division between you and them and you and that, will this divide you to the point that you're going to take out a pillar that will crumble the entire efficacy of our whole house? And is this the pillar you want to die under? Well, so that's the message I think you're going
100%, Tim, and
served by the most.
Yeah. And I think the thing that came to mind earlier and then dovetails with what you just said is Christ. They came to him and they said, Lord, these guys are baptizing in your name without us.
Yeah, they're not.
And
us.
He goes, if they're not against us, then they're with us. He's like, what's your problem? He's like, but Lord, they're not running around with us. And then one of the other things he said was, a bruised reed I will not break, and a smoldering wick I won't snuff out. He was like, I'm not going out of my way to hurt, as much as he called out the religious leaders for being hypocrites, all of the people that genuinely came him seeking, he embraced. He might call him out and say, sell all your stuff because you're a rich guy and you're trying to figure out how to, get that angle to get into, whatever you think the afterlife is.
Goat was.
Exactly. But he was, we read the Jesus of the whip in the temple kicking over the tables, and we don't read the Jesus that says, dude, if they're not against you, we default in political parties to the Bush doctrine. If you're not with us, then you're with the terrorists. No, I don't have to be with either one of you. I can oppose your war machine, and I can oppose your terrorist groups that you propped up 20 years ago with your war machine. I can do both of those, right?
Well, that's well put too.
but that dynamic of you can not go along to get along, but you can. Another one, it says, live at peace with all men as much as it depends on you. And being responsible to that piece. And so I'm loving this. We just have a few minutes left. What's a few final things, Jim, that you're thinking about or you want to share with the people as we wrap up today?
I think we did pretty darn good going through these. I think one of the things also I've been asked about is fundraising. Like I said, I was one of the most successful fundraisers in the district, and that was sitting down with people with quite a bit of money and persuading them that I was worthy of investing in, not some bill. These are people I would reach out to, sit down with, and talk to them and say, here's the kind of person I am, here's the kind of leader I would be, and getting them to invest in me. And that's how I did it. And that also harkens back to, I was in financial services, and I would have to sit across the table and sometimes ask for a $15, $20 million check to fund an annuity. And they had to get that check out and write it and trust me all the way through the process.
Wow.
Well, if you haven't done that, if you haven't been in those situations, it's very hard. I have been in all those situations.
Yeah.
My son and my brother now have that operation. I've been out of it since 14, but that's what I was doing for 20 years before this.
Okay.
So it's the fundraising I don't see as a problem. I'll certainly have the time for this.
Right.
I'm going to unify the party. I have no doubt. Every single time I've talked what I talked to you about here, I probably did 8 county conventions or Christmas parties. All feel the same way. Sometimes they start off wanting to have fights, and I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it.
Right.
We're not going to have fights.
No,
we're going to go in the mission.
Right.
And then they, at the end, they all felt that was the best message they wanted to hear.
Be the example, live the success, and people will go, that's better than the conflict that I'm in over here.
Yes. Yeah. They start realizing that the little time you have on earth to devote it to this acrimony and division is not good for you. And what about your legacy? What about your kids, your grandkids. What do
Right.
you want? If you look at them, when I look at my grandkids, there's the biggest inspiration I have. I think, what is the life going to be like for them? I had a great life. I had great parents. The country was a fabulous country. It was nothing like it is now. These poor kids with their mental health issues off the charts. They don't know.
One in 36 is autistic now, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's even lower.
It's just horrendous
Yeah.
what's they're going through.
Yeah.
So you could say, all right, I want to fight with Bobby and Sue or whatever, or I'm gonna look at my grandkids and say, no, what do I need to do? What can I contribute? My little part of the vineyard to improve their lives, and that means staying on mission. So yeah, that's all the stuff I'm excited about doing. Excited about communicating with people and doing this. If I get elected, I'm going to continue going around because I love doing it and giving feedback.
Yeah, and you know why the kids are the most important target to protect is because Satan wants the seed to the future.
Well, yeah, and they are.
That's
the
why
future.
he wants to break down the government.
Well, I can
definitely
say that I've known this senator for quite a few years now. And he is as he appears. He's genuine. He's truthful. He's honest. He tells you how it is, and that's a very valuable thing.
You're saying
he believes what he says. He's conservative, and I think he'll. Well, to give you an example of a thought I'm having here, Rush Limbaugh used to say that conservatism sells itself.
It does.
You just have to. You just have to package your messaging, and it wins every time.
Right.
It's just like with protecting the kids, right? The Democrat Party is pushing all this crazy, insane stuff, right? And there's a lot of it, not just targeting the children, right? Take Alyssa Slotkin. She's huge in putting boys and girls bathrooms, boys and girls locker rooms, boys and girls sports. This is crazy stuff. This isn't like a civil right.
No, it's crazy.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes against common sense.
100%.
Why would you put boys
because they don't have
in the
common sense.
showers with girls?
But you know,
I mean, it's
asked Larry to
sports.
do this
I mean,
before.
Yeah.
Larry, can you do me a favor? I asked you to do some homework before. I want to hear Larry actually use the terminology that we hear the liberal left use to explain their position. Because I'm not saying it's bad, but I mean the way you explain their position, it's just rhetoric. Nobody after a period of time, nobody listens to you. You have to say it in a way that is like how they would say it is, we're protecting the freedoms of those that are a minority that are being oppressed because they're identity. I want to hear you say those words and just freak the left out. I need you to practice those
use
lines.
their terminology
And
against
just
them because
freak out
you echo
the
back.
left.
I saw somebody. It was Candace Owens. Candace Owens was on a podcast, and they're like, the guy was like, he's going down this line of women and men and women's sports, and she brought up another angle, and she said, if this was the case, would you accept this? And he goes, oh no, that's a good point. That's a really good point. She's like, that's what I'm saying. And if I got to be the one out here that's taking the brunt of saying this is unacceptable to have, guys in women's sports. I can't remember the exact topic, but
it was talking to Nick, and wasn't it the interview with Nick? And she took it to at some point, you're going to be asked, they can't be called pedos.
Oh yes. Yeah. You're exactly right. She said, now we have the term of minor attracted persons. She said, so Nick, when you're standing there a few years from now and you accidentally call them a pedophile. And they get offended because they're minor attracted persons. Are you going to be okay with that? Just like we're okay with transgenders and all this other garbage that we're pushing? And he's like, oh, you make a good point. You could make a good. I'm like, minor attracted? You're a pedophile. Dude, there's no two slices on that. But that's what we've done is the terminologies get all jacked up. You get bills with all sorts of language that the average person has trouble with.
A ton of which we just didn't have time. But
did you?
No, I'm seeing. I've got a 4:00 call. I got to be on. So
understand. I appreciate your time. Will you please, Senator, sign my paper here? Let's pick you a good color.
Thank you for joining us today, Senator.
Is our overhead working?
Yes, it is.
And just give me a quick final thought as we're doing that. Pass it to Larry. Larry, give me your.
The signature tradition
Hancock?
we have, Senator, is our founding fathers put their name on the line that was blood, property, and existence. And this is kind of what we do at the show. Is
Very good.
this is kind of the same sentiment.
Sentiment,
Yes.
and it also dovetails with the movie The Perfect Storm. Did you ever see The Perfect Storm?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And they get off the boat,
Simon Ledger.
and they haven't caught. I mean, their catch was horrible.
Yeah.
And Michael Ironside's the actor standing there, and they come over and they go, it's a low turnout, and he goes, "Sign my ledger."
Yeah.
Like that, you're finalizing the fact that was a really horrible fishing outing, but at least you got to put your name on it. And they're like looking at the numbers, going, "This is all we caught." And he's like, "Sign my ledger." I love that line pops in my head every time I have everybody sign, but it harkens back to the founding fathers. Quick final thought, and then we'll let you get out of here.
Well, I'm really, really pleased to have the opportunity to come on the show and explain why I'm running for this office. And I would upend the way it's been done. I was just thinking about this this week, that if I get told that's the way we've always done it, then the red flag is going to go up. Doesn't mean I wouldn't do it that way, but
Right.
if that's not the reason to continue
Right.
on anything,
Right.
anything.
100%.
If I hear that and go, so why are we doing this?
I was
What-
thinking
Right.
when we were talking about the social media, I was thinking, all right, where are we going to find these 15 to 20-year-olds that are gonna do this in a fraction of the time that we would ever wrap our heads around pushing all of that media and getting that stuff out there and getting that information. That's what I was saying. I was like, let's get some young blood in here that know how to do those areas and boost that.
Absolutely. Part of that is getting information up. As long as I've dealt with parties,
Yeah.
state party for 40 years, no thing that me or anyone else ever suggested ever got to the top person. The gatekeepers killed it all
Yeah,
down
we got
here.
to.
So I'm going to tell everybody, listen, the people working for me are going to aggregate. If you said a paragraph, they're going to turn into a sentence or whatever the suggestion. I want to see all those. Once a week, I'm going to go through every one of those. Go, wait a minute. Oh, I never thought of this. Get me in touch with Bob.
Well, but wait, Senator, that's not the way it's been done.
It's not the way. That's not the way. I'm going to say, listen, if I find out people have donation ideas, fundraising ideas, ideas on grassroots, idea on social media, and you didn't tell me about it, your job's on the line. I know you could speak it real fast to your phone.
Yep.
Joe Blow said blah blah blah. Send it to me.
Piece of cake.
Yeah. But you're not the decision maker, gatekeeper. The lowest gatekeeper usually will kill every single thing. And when they had that, when the chair had Saul Anusis had that listening tour, I was just amazed at things that people were saying and suggestions that would never have gotten to them if he hadn't done that. That's why I want to get out and talk to people and learn. I mean, the reason they don't is they're afraid of being attacked. They're afraid that,
and if you're living a good life, you're going to have a few fringe. But if you're living a good life, an honorable life, a righteous life, what do you have to fear about that?
And I've been doing for actually going back for 16 years. I did this in the county commission. Anybody comes in and attacks me on anything they want in front of everybody else.
Right.
When you do it that long, you can handle anything.
And and the vast majority of the time, almost all of the time, you live right through it, and they're forgotten about, and you're still being the genuine person that you are.
And if anything went wrong, I would say staff would find out if that happened.
Yeah.
And most of the time, find out when they research, find it didn't happen.
Exactly.
But if somebody's being a complete jerk, the whole audience sees that. Even if they're kind of on that side, and somebody's being a complete moron, they start quieting that person down. So to me, I don't see any downside in ever getting out and communicating with the people.
What's the best place? Is it Run with Runstead?
The new website is runsteadforchair.com.
Runsteadforchair.com. That's the best place to look you up, but also to follow you on X. You've got 3 that I saw. Just typing in, you've got Runstead States, but the one I'm looking at right now, Run with Runstead.
That one gets the most traction, and that's one I can post without having to worry about things. So that one, they can go on there and follow me, and they're going to get this. I had one speech that had 14 million views.
That's huge,
and a lot of them 120, 150,000 views. So, and then like this one, I think it's 21,000.
Okay.
But they'll find out about bills through Lame Duck that's coming up.
Yeah.
Like I said, next year is going to change. Everything's going to be very, very agreed upon.
Yeah.
Giving me a lot of time to.
I would like to. We'll talk a little bit. You got to get on your call here shortly, but I would like to talk off air a little bit about coordinating a little bit with Larry. I'd love to see, 1 or 2 things that you're posting each week. We'll include it in our regular Tuesday show.
Yeah.
And if you do a video, we'll pop on there and do that, because it's important to get this local stuff out there. and have the dialogue around that. So here's your other one, Senator Jim Runestad, at Senator Jim Runestad, and we know how to pronounce it. Runestad. Runestad.
In the Norwegian, yes.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, it's been a pleasure. I'll gladly have you back anytime. We squeezed you in today. Obviously, this is airing on a different time than what we did, but you guys like, share, and subscribe. And I know we're going to pull some clips out of this as well and post them on a bunch of the social media. So really appreciate you sitting down with us today, Senator, and having a great conversation and being an honorable man and being one that's at the forefront to lead the party into this renaissance that looks like we're heading into. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Standard codes, QR codes on the screen. So I don't have to post them would be nice for, those fundraising aspects that we do. They are right there. If you're a one-time donor, that's the PayPal. If you want to pitch in a couple bucks every month, that's the square on the right. That's all I got for me.
This is my brain.
Dad, that's an egg.
Yeah, that's an egg.
Honey,
Dude,
that's an egg.
seriously.
That's an egg.
It's a metaphor.
It's still an egg.
That's an egg.
I would challenge you.
That's an egg.
I know my brain is not actually an egg, okay? It's a metaphor.
Metaphor or not, that's not your brain.
It's just an egg.
Una cerveza para mí. My egg is my brain.
Can I at least have some bacon, maybe some sausage with that egg, though?
Oh, I want some bacon.
I want crepes.
Have some bacon and pancakes with that egg.
I'll take it with cheese.
Extra large brown cage-free eggs.
Can I have your brain with hot cakes?
A little sausage and a little toast and potato.
That would be great.
Does it have antibiotics?
I don't know, man. I'm not good at this shit.
Well, they got to be able to resist some diseases.
You resist the disease.
Has it got any hormones?
Maybe. It's cage free.
Vegetarian?
Maybe.
Are they vegan?
No, I eat steak.
Never apologize and never explain.
Never apologize.
Never apologize and never explain.